Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk Packers as we're heading into week 7 of the NFL season. Got an awesome show for you guys and gals. We're just going to basically give you a season update. All right, we're going to do Chalk Talk tomorrow night. We got 14 plays we're going to break down, so I'm excited about that episode. Got a couple we may show you tonight, but most of that will come tomorrow night. So a season update. We're going to talk about Matthew Golden turning heads right now. Jordan Love just absolutely dominating some specific statistics across the league. And then, of course, we'll jump into the Packers team rankings. We'll talk about where they rank offensively, defensively, both rushing on offense and defense, passing offense and defense, the whole 9 yards. So we'll just kind of give everybody, let's set the stage for these next couple of games. Here is where the Packers ranked. Here's how everything's looking. Before we get into it, though, let's do that YouTube stuff. If you guys don't mind, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We are fans just like you. We're darn sure not media members. We're just in here talking Packers on the daily from a fan's perspective, and the chat really keeps this thing going. If you want to be involved in an interactive Packers show, this is the place for you. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live. Like right now, we went live earlier today, just did a quick little show talking about a couple things that were on my mind, and it's just fun to jump in here and chat Packers. How we doing, boys?
First place in the North, baby. It's feeling pretty good.
Hell yeah. Am I crazy, or did YouTube change up the way that the comments are displayed? That's nice, huh?
Pretty cool. It looks clean, right? It's actually, I think, well, I don't know if it's YouTube or Stream, or, yeah, I imagine it is probably YouTube, but yeah, pretty cool, man. Good stuff. But yeah, all right, let's dive into it, boys. Season update. Before we get into it, just want to go around the horn. Is there anything on the forefront of your all's mind in terms of where the Packers are at before we dive into all of the detailed viewpoints here?
I think all things considered, we're sitting pretty good right now at this point in the season. I was Mr. 4-0 into the bye week, and everything got screwed up for me. And I feel pretty good, though, sitting where we are right now, top of the North. The tie wasn't as devastating as I thought. And, bottom line, we've got, 3 wins and 1 loss, man. We're in first place, feeling really good.
It's pretty wild to think that tie made that big of a difference, right? But that's why I was mind boggled, not at you, Tim, but there were a bunch of fans that were just like, why play for the tie? Go for the win. And it's like, if you went for the win and lost that game, that's a big difference in the standings right now. It really is. So, Jacob, you got anything, Jacob?
I mean, kind of in that same vein, I think that we as Packer fans have gotten I don't know when it happened, but we got spoiled along the way. And the amount of hate and negativity that is coming through on some of these platforms, specifically, I was telling the guys before we went live here, I was trying to catch up on some press conferences, Matt LaFleur's on the Green Bay Packers YouTube channel. When you go and look at it, and I'm not exaggerating, you guys can go check for yourself, I would say a good 80 to 90% are completely negative comments, specifically against Matt LaFleur, and how, you could a laundry list of different, accusations from certain types of fans. But I mean, that kind of stuff, I feel like when we're sitting here again atop the NFC North in the consistent hunt year in and year out to be in the playoffs, what we do in the playoffs, and obviously the story history we have when we get to the playoffs and making the Super Bowl, the people that are talking, it's like they don't understand that we have Matt LaFleur in the regular season with a .670 winning percentage, 67-33 in all time, obviously 3-5 in the playoffs. Not great. That's 13th among all time with coaches that have coached at least 50 games or more. That to me is the type. I mean, I actually wrote a note down. I said, that's the type of fandom that allowed guys like Saquon to leave, guys like X to leave, Josh Jacobs to leave their organization, because they didn't respect or understand the type of unique talent that they had. And it just kind of drives me nuts, because we're always, cloaking ourselves in that veil of saying like, oh, we're the best fans in the league by far. We're the best fans in sports. And to a lot of degrees, I still think we are. But some of the negativity that's coming around, I don't know if some of these kids weren't raised right, didn't get the strap enough when they were kids, maybe. I just think that we're a bunch of spoiled babies sometimes, and I want it to freaking stop.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, is what it is. And I'll be honest with you, man. I think those people don't realize that players watch this type of stuff, right? It's why Keyshawn's no longer on X. He doesn't even hardly participate on X anymore. And in my opinion, like you're never staying the same at anything you do in life, right? Like you're either getting better or you're getting worse. So when you make a comment on social media, it's either helping the team or it's hurting the team, you know? Now listen, can you be critical of the team? Absolutely. Well, you've got people calling for the coach to be fired. And like Jacob said, here's the numbers, guys. He didn't make that up. Matt LaFleur is 13th all time in the history of the league in winning percentage at 671. That is better than Andy Reid. That's better than Sean McDermott with the Bills. That's better than KOC, who just flew up the charts and won Coach of the Year last year, something Matt LaFleur's never won, right? That's better than Hall of Famer Tony Dungy, better than Hall of Famer Paul Brown. Don Shula is, or not better than Paul Brown, but right behind Paul Brown. Don Shula is literally just a 0.006 is where he is higher, essentially. Just 6 points, I guess you could say, higher than Matt LaFleur. His winning percentage is 677. Matt LaFleur's is 671. Papa Bear Hall is 682, right? Jim Harbaugh and Nick Sirianni are the only active coaches right now in the NFL that has a higher winning percentage than Matt LaFleur. So, and immediately they move the goalposts. Those haters will move the goalposts. Yeah, it's all about championships. Okay, got you, hot shot. Let me ask you this. What coach is on the market that you would replace Matt LaFleur with that just slam dunk gives you a Super Bowl? Fire away. You know? Yeah. Well, you never know until you go get them. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. So, again, just wanted to point out, Matt LaFleur is 13th. Oh, understand, guys, the league was founded, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, 1921. The league was officially founded, right? Yep. So that means the league, what would that make it? Help me on the math there. 104 years old? Is that right? Am I thinking right?
Going into, yeah.
In 104 years of the history of this league, on the entire face of the planet, there are only 12 human beings that had a higher winning percentage than Matt LaFleur. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And we're trying to fire him while we're in first place of our division.
God.
And our quarterback is playing top 5 level play, which that was the big concern coming into the year. Oh no, was it because of the injuries? Is Jordan Love really the guy? Right? He just continues. Matt LaFleur continues to check the boxes, right? Like, let me give you another example here in terms of his offense, right? So when you look at how the offense is ranked right now, and I'll scroll down in just a second. I said, but I was told Matt LaFleur's play calling / offense stinks and he should be fired, right? So this was after Monday Night Football, and this is one of these charts, whatever you want to call it. This is team offensive and defensive efficiency, okay? So notice the offensive EPA per play. The offensive EPA per play, Green Bay it looks like they're in 3rd place right now in EPA per offense. Now, look at how they're close to the median line in defense in terms of defensive EPA per play allowed, right? Now, listen, I'm not calling for Jeff Hafley's job. That's silly. Jeff Hafley is a great coach. Great coach. Glad he's a defensive coordinator. But the fact that people immediately shift it to Matt LaFleur needs to be fired, well, what I've been saying for the last few weeks, if there's any aspect of this team that's kind of struggling, to me, it's the defense a little bit, right? And it's not even really struggling. But when you look at the EPA per play and what Matt LaFleur is getting out of the youngest team in the league, and he's the play caller, he's the offensive scheme designer, the whole 9 yards, you're definitely not firing him over the efficiency of the offense. Does that make sense, guys? Like, Tim, what am I missing here? If you were to try to put yourself in the mind of one of these people that have convinced themselves, and I wouldn't even be talking about if it was 2 or 3 people. Like Jacob said, there's a bunch of Packer fans that just think Matt LaFleur's a bum. Like, what are we missing here, man?
I don't know. I don't want to try and get into that mindset. It's probably difficult. There are probably a lot of the same fans that have a problem with Goody as well.
Yep.
Team that he's been putting together throughout this process. So I don't understand it. I do think that there's a portion of the fan base that tends to look year to year at seasons, as one long movie, for example, rather than, a series of individual matchups and games. And, we want to be 1-0 every week. So I think if you look at it from a bird's eye view, and you're frustrated that we're not beating every opponent 52-10, I can see why you might want to call for someone's job, but I don't want to fan that way, right? We watch this team because we love this team. If you're a fan, you want to cheer your team on. And like Clay was saying, it's okay to be critical. That's where your passion comes in as a fan. If you see it, you got to say it. But it's another thing to, scream and call for someone's job every time there's the slightest bit of adversity. And, really looking at where we are on top of our division right now, I don't know what everyone's upset about, honestly.
Yeah. As Jay, I'm trying to think of who this is. Everybody's name changed again, right? I see somebody in the chat just saying, said, "Oh no, YouTube gave my government name." So I don't know why YouTube does that stuff from time to time. But anyway, he said it's the same people who think Rodgers isn't good because he only won one ring. It's so true.
That's
so
Jason.
True.
Jason. Oh, I was trying to remember who.
I was trying to remember too. I know everybody's profile pic, but yeah.
Look at this. Turt L. McGirt. Hey, Brambo 09 here.
See if you guys could change your name again. I know we went through this before. I don't know what's up with it, but I just wish things would stay the same. Of course, if it were up to me, we'd probably still be riding around on horses and not have vehicles. You know what I mean? I'm that boring dude.
Yeah.
So,
amen.
Yeah. Holmes in the chat says much of the hate comes from the clueless national media. No one watches tape. If ESPN says you suck, you suck. Shaking my head. Very well said. Now, let's shift focus to some people outside of these overly negative Packer fans for a minute, right? Fox Sports NFL tweeted this out. Who is the best one-loss team? Guys, there are 4 teams that only have one loss in the league right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts, the Green Bay Packers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, me personally, I think the Buccaneers are playing better football than the Packers right now. Like I cannot, if I were to rank these 1 through 4, I believe my ranking would be number 1, Tampa, number 2, Indy, number 3, Packers, number 4, Steelers. And listen, the Steelers, they're right there with Green Bay. I could see if you want to make a case that Green Bay is the 4th best team in this list, I can understand that too. But the fact that they're in the top 4 in terms of just one-loss teams here, like what are we even talking about? Just mind-boggling. Yeah. So go ahead, Jacob, read, man.
Chuck Jagger says the media can sunk a monkey's butt, but they don't cover the Brewers till they lose game 1. That's the same. It's always their narrative that they want to face and push. I believe that's true. I agree with you completely, Clayton. If you were to rank those teams, I would definitely say Tampa, Indy, us, then Steelers. But like again, we're sitting here talking about firing a coach. And one real quick thing, just to put a book on it. In games in December and January, his regular season winning percentage is .774, which would be 2nd of all time. When it counts, when you're going down the stretch, when you need a win, when you need to have like good play, when it's in usually rough weather, especially if you're playing in Green Bay, the guy is absolute money, as well as obviously Jordan Love and Toyotathon during that stretch as well. So, and that's since 2019. So it's not like it's a drop in the bucket. It's just madness, man.
Yeah, definitely. Holmes asked a question. Clay, are you considering strength of opponents? I think that's the silliest thing to look at, Holmes. I've been very, very vocal about this, man. Let's say Washington, for example, right? Going into the season, we were all saying Washington was one of the best teams in the league, right? They just lost to the Bears. What's their record? They got 2 wins. So going into the season, everybody was holding Washington up here, right? So that's something that's just constantly changing. Here's what's crazy. We may look up and Washington be below 500 at the halfway point, and then them run the table at the end of the year. And at the halfway point, people will be looking at strength of opponents and going, well, Washington sucks, right? Well, they played Washington. Then at the end of the year, they go on a run and they're one of the strongest teams at the end of the league. You've got to get that polluted mindset out of your head. You've got to lean into any given Sunday, anything can happen in this league. And the worst team is really, really close to the best team. That's just the way it is. There are no bad players. There's good players and there's great players. And the difference between a good player and a great player most of the time is the people that are around him, the teammates that are around him, the coaching staff is around him, and where they fit into the scheme, how they're utilized, what kind of opportunities they get, right? Those are the big difference makers. Like you look at Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has been cheeks, right, this entire time. Now, all of a sudden, Ben Johnson's turned it around the last 2 or 3 weeks. Now you're seeing, okay, Caleb's starting to protect the football. He's not taking as many sacks. You see them start to turn the season around. going into the year, people be looking at Chicago like they were hot garbage. Then he turned around and beat the Commanders. So pretty wild.
Holmes wants to clarify that he wasn't making that argument, just tossing it up as a discussion topic. By the way, what a sweet profile pic that he has right there. Is that Frosty repping the? That's pretty nice right there. Yeah. We got a super chat from the super fan Mike Hebring. He says, "I just hate that Nick Sirianni is ahead of Matt LaFleur." I would agree with that. I definitely would agree with that.
Absolutely. You know what, Mike? That's where you got to tip your cap to him, right? That dude has a Super Bowl win, and his winning percentage is through the freaking roof. You know, I understand. I hate it too. Don't get me wrong. And Holmes, though, I don't mean any disrespect towards you, man. When I said you got to get that out of your mind, I'm kind of speaking in general. Like, people have got to stop thinking in that regard. So I'm glad you brought it up, because it is something worth mentioning. In the past, people were like, "Oh yeah, well, look at DVOA and look at strength of schedule." And that stuff is constantly changing as the season goes along. It is. It's, again, all the answers are on the tape. But yeah, Mike, completely agree with that, man. I hate that that Nick Sirianni is ahead of Matt as well. But man, Nick Sirianni is, am I wrong there, guys? It just feels like he's earned it. I mean,
and two less seasons than Matt as well. You know,
right.
I believe 5th season or something like that as a head coach. So I don't like it any more than Mike does. But you got to respect it, right?
You know, and what's crazy too is, like you just said, Clayton, and how Tim reiterated earlier, how this is a week-to-week league. We can't look backwards into last year and have really any kind of semblance. Maybe some general stuff like same coaching staff, same starters, blah blah blah. But let's put a little test like this. It's week 1. If somebody says you have to play the Giants, you'd laugh and you just say ha 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 ha. And now in week 6 or whatever, you say, all right, you're going against Cam Scatterboo and Jackson Dart and the Giants, and people go, oh crap.
It's true.
Like,
man, it's so true. Look at Philly, right?
Yeah.
Like Ron Sample says, is Philly going to implode like 2 years ago? It's possible, right? But Tim, Philly came into this year, they're riding high, right? And then you look up and all of a sudden they're in the dumps. So you would think
the same thing about Baltimore on the AFC side,
Yeah. And that's what's so remarkable about everything is people were praising these teams, and then you get a quarter of the way through the season and we're one of the top 4 teams in terms of, just one-loss records. And all of a sudden you look back and, okay, does that mean that we are so much greater than Baltimore right now? No, it don't.
Yep.
It just means Baltimore hasn't been able to get the job done. And again, it's more of a testament to Matt, with the youngest roster in the league, to just continue to figure out the blueprint and how to win these games. It's just like with Hafley. I wasn't trying to dog the defense just a second ago. They got the best. I hear some people say top 3. It's definitely a top 3 run defense. I think it's the best run defense in the league when you look at some of the key statistics and kind of combine them. But for me, it's like, what happened against Cincinnati then, Clayton? What happened against Cincinnati? How did they give up? What was it? I got to look at my notes again. 18 points. How do you give up 18 points to that? It's called you played with a lead all day long and you played bend but don't break, because you were playing the game. You were playing to win the game in front of you. You think he couldn't have teed off with I about said a bad word. Ooh. Lord have mercy. You think he couldn't have teed off with a bunch of blitzes and racked up 2 or 3 sacks, right? That could have happened.
You're going to get your ass kicked in that.
If you do that and they hit a couple explosives on you, it's like this. If you give up an explosive play and it triples their chances of scoring on that drive, therefore they're going to score more points. If they come out and they have scored 25 points and they beat you in that game, what would the fans be saying? Why in the world were we blitzing that much? But instead, we said, okay, you want to take everything underneath? We've got the lead. We had to lead the entire game. That's what's wild, right? So we'll let you have everything underneath, and you're going to score some points, but you're not going to score more than us. That's called playing the game that's in front of you. It really is. So, yeah. Ron saying, well, I love this Packers team. It's not supposed to be easy. Amen.
Yep.
Anything worth having, it involves struggle, right? And I don't know where this fantasy world exists that a portion of the fan base thinks that it's just like, oh yeah. No, we expect to go out and win every game. I demand excellence. Who the hell are you, Vince Lombardi? You all of a sudden think that. You know what I'm saying? Those fans that talk about that, like, keep settling for mediocrity. Show me your resume there, partner. I want to see what you do. I bet you're just kicking life's ass, aren't you? I bet you're at the top 3% of society. It's mind-boggling how people Tim, they repeat what they hear is what they do.
Like parrots, that's basically what it is, Yep. Just repeating narrative. And a team is not narrative. A team is not its record. A team is not reputation or feelings. A team is what they do every week on the football field. And like Jacob was saying, that's something that ebbs and flows as you go through a season. How many times have we seen we've seen Packers teams, go storm into the playoffs with one loss, perfect year, and they can't get it done and get over the hump. We've seen other teams that squeak into the playoffs. Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking of the 2010 Packers that basically ran the table to sneak in there and ended up bringing home a championship. So, you're not your record. You're not your rep. You're what you do week to week in this league for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Y changed his name.
I was just going to say.
Jason Y was unavailable.
And real quick, if anybody else is trying to change United Bates, give us some help. He said should be under channel customization after you go into channel settings and change your handle. So in case anybody
heard it from a fan right here.
Bates helping out in all ways, as always.
Appreciate it. Here we go. Your username sucks. And says, how do you feel about Jordan Morgan's play this week? Listen, I was very, very vocal leading up to this game. I wanted to see Jordan Morgan on the left side, even if it was as a backup. Just let him learn the left side. Let him master the left side. When Belton's healthy, let's let him master the right side. Play Darian Kennard when you need somebody. Let Sean Ryan continue to play on the right and just kind of stabilize each side. He went out there. They went totally against what I said. They went and played Jordan Morgan at right guard, and he dominated. It was so much fun watching the tape. We got two or three runs we're going to show you where he's just blowing people off the ball. It is awesome to see. So.
See, Ryan, I was listening to Ryan's podcast this morning. He did not seem to agree with that. And he said, am I watching the same reps kind of thing? He did say he was going to go back and watch the game over because I thought the same, Clayton. When I watched him out there, I was positively impressed with the majority of the, I mean, again, who am I? I'm just a guy sitting here and talking crap. But I thought from what I saw, I thought he took a big step, especially to your point that he was on the right side, which just seemed like it was throwing a fish on land and most other times. And he kind of seemed like I thought he looked good.
Yeah. And again, the touchdown run with Josh Jacobs, I don't want to say that run doesn't happen without Jordan Morgan, but boy, oh boy, you watch him. It's a duo right call. And him get inside, great agility off the ball, turning his body, flipping his hips, sealing the inside, and then just bursting out, getting to the second level, getting hands on the linebacker. Josh Jacobs goes straight into the end zone with all the momentum. There's a handful of plays like that. I thought Jordan Morgan played good. PFF agreed, if I remember correctly, too. So Fishy thinks as we're doing the tape tonight. We're going to do it tomorrow night, Fishy thinks. We got a couple clips we're going to show you, but we're already falling behind. This is a fun conversation, though, man. I just want to point out here, 57%, all right, NFC North odds according to Kalshi. Is that how y'all say that? Kalshi? Anyway, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a gambling site or whatever. They just specialize in the percentages, right? The tendencies and all that stuff. So the Packers are currently in the lead for the NFC North champion odds at 57% over Detroit at 40% currently. So again, I guess Matt LaFleur had nothing to do with that. One last statistic here before we move along to a little bit of Matthew Golden talk and Josh Jacobs talk. Here's another one. Point differential for every NFL team through week 6. So through week 6, the Packers are sitting at a plus 29 point differential. That is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th best in the league. Look at Indy, guys. Plus 78. Is that not insane? That is wild. And again, look at Chicago, minus 15, but somehow they're figuring out how to win games, right? Really, really interesting statistic there. You see Pittsburgh, a lot closer games as well, plus 12 on the point differential. So, again, Green Bay is plus 29, just ahead of the Minnesota Vikings and coming in the 11th spot there. So,
well, and that's another testament of the conversation we had earlier about how every week, every year is completely different. Because, everybody knew that Indy would come out of the gates, right, being plus 78 or whatever it was in the turnover or in the point margin, especially led by Daniel Jones. Everybody knew that.
Yeah. Exactly. So another cool thing that came down the pike here from Fox Sports NFL. Are there any surprises with Greg Auman's Week 6 offensive team of the week? So their offensive team of the week over at Fox NFL was quarterback Drake May, running back Rico Dowdle, along with running back Josh Jacobs, wide receivers George Pickens, Jackson Smith, and Dallas Goedert at tight ends. So Josh Jacobs getting some much needed attention there. Tim, he balled out, man, especially in the passing game. This is just showing the 93 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. The passing game, he was phenomenal. And I'll show a clip here in a minute when we break down the Jordan Love side. Matter of fact, let's wait on it. Yeah. So Josh Jacobs, I think he's very, very, very underrated in the passing game, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, if you add all that up, I think he was over 150 in total yards or something like that.
Yep.
We'll get the specifics, but and yeah, doing it on the ground too. 93 yards. We'd like to get him over a buck. Every running back wants to be over that century mark every time they hit the field. But 93 yards on the ground, 2 tutters. I mean, that's a great day at the office. And I know for a fact Josh Jacobs is not underappreciated here within this fan base. But when you look league wide, yeah, it feels like maybe he doesn't get the the attention and the respect that he deserves, I think, when it comes to, the bird's eye view fans looking at this. But I'm glad that, he made this list. He's in pretty good company. You see a lot of production here from these guys. But we had a feeling going into this game that Josh was going to have himself a ball game. We've been kind of waiting on that. And we did. We got almost 100 on the ground and 2 tutters. And then to your point, Clayton, highly effective in the pass game. Allowing us to kind of keep the offense moving, even in those tough points of the game when we were kind of hitting the wall. Josh was able to help us out in the passing game.
Yeah, he was exactly 150 yards, Tim, if you combine both rushing and receiving. And Jason was saying how Jacobs was mic'd up this past game, and he laughed. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, we talked about that last night.
Did you? Every time
go to the Packers.com and check it out. Yeah, he's hilarious.
He also said in his post-game press conference that he was calling some dinosaurs pre-game, during the game, and post-game. So he's like, I was mic'd up too. Not sure if they're going to get that. It'd be so funny.
Hopefully that doesn't make NFL Network. But yeah, pretty good stuff. But Jason Wise said, funny how Dan Campbell was saying Brian Branch's behavior isn't the Lions' way, but it's been exactly their way for the past few years. Tim.
They be trying to bully me out there.
Perfect drop. That's the first person that I've ever met that went out and started a fight and then came in the locker room for the interview and claimed he was being bullied.
They be trying to bully me out there.
Yeah. That's not bullying, buddy. You got your ass kicked between the lines. That's what happened there. And boy, oh boy, for all those Lions fans who in the past have said, stop complaining about the refs, they have cried for the last 48 freaking hours. It's been unbelievable on X. The Lions fans are just in an absolute debacle. They know they're this close to going back to the same old Lions. They know how close it is, Tim. The dynasty is almost over.
Yep, absolutely. The dynasty of nothing, right? They've won nothing. Keep hanging your divisional banners. Have fun with that. We throw those in storage or something like that. We hang championship banners in Green Bay. But yeah, it is funny how, you can dish it out sometimes, but you just can't seem to take it. And, we were all closet Chiefs fans, obviously, that night for obvious reasons.
Not AFAM.
Yeah. Well, yeah, AFAM's definitely a proud Chiefs fans. We know that.
He was running buck naked through the trailer park screaming, "Oh, Chiefs!"
But it did feel good. We got to see Mahomie get a tutter and, kind of flex on Brian Branch there. I think that's what started the blood boiling. And then, after the game, I think he just lost his cool. So, but it is funny to see Lions players, staff, and fans crying now after that excellent loss that they just took.
Which, by the way, does bullying mean that when you go to greet someone, they reach out to shake your hand twice and then you just throw a punch?
Like,
what is right. I've never been bullied by being like, "Hey, great game, guy."
Here's what's funny. What he was referring to as the bullying was he got blocked in the back on a run play by.
I saw that. That was not a block in the back.
Here's what's hilarious, Tim. The sideline view, you can see the guy clips his shoulder pad. He gets inside, right? Immediately, Lions fans went to the reverse end zone copy, right? And it looks like he gets just shoved completely in the back. Boy, y'all combed through the interwebs trying to find that angle, didn't you? It's just, I'm telling you, man, they're in absolute debacle. So, all right, let's move it along here, man. That was a fun conversation, though. Appreciate everybody contributing there in the chat as well. Matthew Golden, we talked about it. We cut a video yesterday. You guys could check it out right here on the channel. The golden era has begun. PFF Fantasy tweeted this out. Most receptions of 20-plus yards on Sunday. DK Metcalf had 4 catches of 20 yards or more on each of those catches. Second was Matthew Golden with 3, tied with Jackson Smith and Jigba with 3. Guys, when you're starting to get your rookie first-round wide receiver mentioned in the likes of DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's exciting stuff, man. I didn't expect him to be this effective this early. I thought second half of the season, he will have taken his lumps in the first half. Second half of the season, I'm expecting something from you, bub. You got to play like a starting caliber wide receiver. It literally took, really 3 games, and it was, okay, here we go. And again, it all comes down to the attitude too, right? Like how you handle success. Coach McCarthy used to say this all the time. He used to say, it's more important how you handle success than failure, right? Matthew Golden seems to have the right mindset for handling this early success for sure. What do y'all think about him? And again, when you talk about that speed that so many people, when we draft him, I just don't see it. I've watched the tape and he doesn't look that fast. I don't know. He looked pretty damn fast to me, juking people out of their jocks the other day, and obviously being one of 3 players with this many receptions of 20 yards or more on Sunday.
I mean, I think about it this way: we haven't seen nothing yet.
I was going to
everything we've seen. I mean, we ain't seen nothing yet. Matthew Golden I think he's the real deal. Like Holmes is saying there, he's the truth. And you can see how he contributes to the team, even without the touchdowns. We want the touchdowns. They're going to come, obviously. But, man, did we move the sticks with Agent Zero in that game on Sunday. And I think he's going to continue to build on that going forward.
Steve in the chat says, wait till Watson and Golden are out there together, Jacob. That's going to be so exciting, man.
Absolutely. And I think what's more going under the radar is like what Jen Wright says about him. He has 2 golden gloves for hands. I will take that farther to say that I think it was on the national broadcast where they said that Packers organization has said that he has the strongest hands out of anybody in that wide receiver room, which is pretty incredible when you think about the guys that he's in there with. And to Tim's point, we've only just scratched the surface with this guy. We've talked about it for weeks and weeks now, about how he's leading league in separation, how he's so quick off of the line, how he just seems to have kind of FBI way above his years for where he is right now in the NFL. And he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just a guy that flashes down the road, down the field, try to just get separation. I would probably have somebody in the chat correct me on this, but I thought I saw a stat during the broadcast where the last 3 games he has like 10 to 13 catches. I think it was 197 yards, averaging like over 10 per. Like he's starting to put it together. And to Clayton's point, I did not expect this to happen until post week 8. Where he kind of
put the team on my back, dude.
And I just am blown away by the way that his maturation up to this point, and him not also getting too big of a head when these plays start to come. I think it's nice that we're slowly leading him into fandom, or I should say stardom, because I think that the opportunity, he's shown consistently that he's a rookie, but he doesn't have rookie mentality.
Yeah. I think it's very well said. Read those comments for me just a second. I'm going to pull up a clip here that actually I have one on the screen there. Read that one if you don't care, Jake.
At Tatchison says late hands on that sideline catch was golden. I completely agree with that. We've been pretty lucky to have guys like that for at least my whole lifetime. Guys that had Jordy Nelson, obviously Devontae Adams, that late hands, the ability to snatch a ball out of the air at the last second away from a defender is unmatched, I think.
Yeah. So we can only play 6 seconds of this clip. So we'll let it loop a couple times and we'll get it out. Okay. It shouldn't trigger. Keep that comment up for me, Jake. That'll help a little bit too if you don't care. Did we lose it? Sorry if we did. Yeah, just throw it back up there for me. So this is the play he's talking about, the late hands play. Okay. So first of all, an absolutely perfect throw by Jordan Love. Look where he puts this ball. And look at the late hands. Watch him. Just kind of waiting. Now the hands go up.
Wow.
Bang.
Dime piece throw, J Money. My goodness.
Unbelievable throw, Tim. We're gonna show it one more time, guys. Look at the placement of this ball. Watch him just let that thing rip. And again, the placement, you couldn't put it in a better place. You can't throw that ball any better. And the fact that he trusts Matthew Golden, and obviously Matthew Golden has the confidence in himself to make that catch. And again, that was in the first quarter, I believe, right? That was Love to Golden. I'm trying to think. That was second quarter. That was the second quarter, and that was a 3rd and 10 play, if I remember correctly, too. So when the money is on the table, Jordan Love looking for Golden. You love to see it, man. Let's see here. This is kind of tough. But I understand where you're coming from, Jason, because this is kind of how I feel. And the guys may disagree. I want to get their take on this real quick. He said, it's hard to admit, but having Matthew Golden on the roster makes it easier to let Romeo Doubs walk. And I think I think what Jason's saying here too is for the right price, Jason, I'm sure you want Romeo back, right? I know I do. But if Romeo is going to warrant number one receiver money, it is what it is. You got to let him walk. Matthew Golden, here's what I could see in the future. If we remove Romeo Doubs from this offense, what I see is Matthew Golden in the X. I see Jaden Reed in the F or the slot, and then Christian Watson in the Z, and you're good to go. Dontavion Wicks is under contract for another year. There's your kind of backup utility guy that can play the X, he can play the slot, and so on and so forth. I don't want to see Romeo Doubs leave. I want to be very clear. However, if you've got to pay him number one money, it's just not going to happen in Green Bay, right? And we've talked about that. I don't want to rehash that conversation of how much money is he worth and this and that, but I understand where Jason's coming from. What's your all's thoughts on
that? Man, I don't want to see him go whatsoever, and I think that he has done a lot for this team, specifically putting the team on his back, dude, kind of stuff. Where obviously the injuries to Reed, to Watson, and not just this year, other years past, where he's kind of been steady Eddie, and he goes in there and he makes, I think, a lot of underrated plays, and maybe plays that people forget, like third and sixes, third and seven. You know what I mean? Like, and he can make acrobatic catches. He can be more of a possession receiver. I think he's got a lot more in the tank when it comes to yak than people give him credit for. Now, all that being said, this wide receiver room is so deep that Matt LaFleur touched on it, being like, we got a lot of guys that want to eat, they want to touch the ball. It is really tough when you think about the fact now when you add in Savion and obviously Golden. I mean, we already had 4 or 5 consistent receivers and a really great backup crew. If you look at guys like Heath and everybody like that, I mean, it's just the type of thing where there can only Green Bay at this point, it's really going to be tough for guys to get 100-yard games if you're a wide receiver. You know what I mean? It just is, because you're going to, unless you're Matthew Golden and you're catching it at 30 yards per catch, like, it just is going to be tough. So in that aspect, I understand the argument. I really do, especially if he comes back and he's like, hey, man, I'm going to need some real money. At that point, I think that's where we have the conversation. But at this point, I'm not ready to say I want to let him go at all. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it's a business, right? You're gonna have to have those uncomfortable conversations at the end of the day. I agree with what you said. I share that sentiment. You guys know that I'm a huge Rome fan, and I'd like him to play his whole career here in Green Bay. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a business. And one thing I would add to Jacob's point is, you know, he's one of our top red zone weapons. Really, if you look past these past couple of seasons, I feel like, you know, Jordan Love is really comfortable looking for 87 inside the red zone on a lot of these looks. And, you know, Rome answers the bell more often than not. And one of our contested catch masters on this team. And I hate to see him go, but I understand if they have to let him walk, right? Because we can't keep all these guys forever. You know, it'd be nice to have, you know, 200 talented wide receivers on your team every year, but you can't pay them all, you know?
Yeah, Joe Pack in the chat says Rome is Love's Cobb. I can understand that. To me, though, it kind of feels like you could see Matthew Golden earning that respect, that trust in Jordan. And you can't keep everybody. That's just the reality. Especially like somebody mentioned in the chat about Tucker. You're going to have to sign Tucker sooner or later, right? Yep. If it comes down to you got to choose this player or the other player, if it comes down to Romeo Doubs or Tucker Kraft, I'm going with Tucker Kraft over Romeo Doubs and keeping Matthew Golden. Right now, if you're one of these people that want to keep Romeo, I get it. I understand, but it seems like he converts on just about every third down. Other than this last game, it was all Matthew Golden on third down. Right? Holmes says, "Not me. Romeo would get 3 years, $45 million from me. I can't listen. I can't argue
me and his money,
whether he's worth it or not. But I respect the opinion for sure." And Chris Casual Win says the same thing, man. I love Romeo. So, yeah, Romeo's a fan favorite. There's no doubt about it. Back to Matthew Golden, though. Guys, make sure you go vote. If you go to the Packers Twitter page, you'll see it says you need to vote for Matthew Golden for Rookie of the Week. You can click on the image. That'll send you directly to NFL.com. I've already voted about 17 times. So make sure you do your due diligence here, all right? Go vote for Matthew Golden for Rookie of the Week there in the NFC. So how cool is that? I mean, we were talking about this with Edgerrin Cooper last year, right? He won. Yeah. I want to say he won Player of the Week though, didn't he? Twice. and he won Rookie of the Week, I think, once or twice as well. But yeah, it's exciting to see what Matthew Golden is doing for sure, man. Go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just gonna say Treos was gonna ask in regards to Rome, saying who's gonna actually pay him wide receiver one money respectfully.
I
That's
don't think anybody
that's
will.
a good point. Yeah.
I don't think anyone will. However, if he hits the open market, I could see someone outbidding the Packers simply because you look at their receiving core.
Yeah.
You know, you got Matthew Golden, you've got Jaden Reed, right? You got Christian Watson under contract for 2 years. To me, that's the blueprint. That's your 3 starters moving forward. Now, the rumor is they've offered Romeo Doubs a contract, right? So they did offer him a contract, but it's very team friendly. If he accepts a team friendly deal of $10 million per, hell yeah, sign me up. Romeo, you're talking about being 5 and 6 deep, especially if Savion continues to come on, man, with his game. Tim, Savion on returns too is exciting, and I love the fact that Savion and Bo, it seems like they're going to start to get a few more touches on special teams. Now you don't have to worry about Matthew Golden being back there as often, you know.
Or Romeo Doubs being back there. We've seen Dobby returning punts for us as well.
I don't like that. You know, like you that,
Jan. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, man. It really is, because there's so much talent in this receiver room, and you're absolutely right about Savion Williams. You know, I think Matt's figuring out how to utilize him the best and get him involved, and it's an uphill battle when you're trying to get all of this talent involved in your game plan. You know, regardless of which phase of the game we're talking here, you want to get your guys out there contributing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Trey Russ with the super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, what do you think a comp would be money/production wise? I don't want to think about it, Trey. And there's no market value comp as it sits right now on Spot Track. Last time I checked, you guys, if it's changed, let me know. That's usually what I go off of. And most of the time, those numbers are a little bit of a low ball. Typically, players will get a little bit more than that. Yeah. But the reason I say I don't even want to think about the comp is because, again, when you try to create a comp for those type of players, every offense is different, right? Every coaching staff looks at receivers a little bit different. Are they more valuable than others? What's the depth look like coming on behind them, right? And we talk about all the time, progress stoppers. You hear that and you think, oh, that means that Romeo Doubs is keeping the Packers from being successful. No, that's not what it means. It means he might be the best choice right now, which I think we would agree with. He probably still is the best choice at receiver, but you're keeping reps away from the young guys who could maybe have a higher ceiling, right?
Yeah. Or no ceiling if you're Matthew Golden.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, another thing to think about too, assuming that there's truth to the rumors that there's an offer on the table, you know, if we look at Goody's track record, we don't tend to make counter offers. We tend to, you know, offer a player a contract. I mean, ask Elton Jenkins how that went this offseason.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point, Tim.
You know, so I fully expect, Rome's probably going to test the market unless we get some really good news here really soon, and he just takes that offer and remains a Packer. And you can do some, restructuring, maneuvering, other contracts to kind of keep a guy like him around. It's not impossible, but I would not anticipate a counter offer at all, or trying to maybe matching an offer perhaps, but I don't know,
Yeah, to kind of put some a little bit of what am I trying to say? So Turt L. McGrath, I still can't get over that. He said MVS got $10 million per when he went to KC. LOL. So that's just another example. Context is what I was trying to say.
Nowhere near. Let's be clear though. Nowhere near number one money. Right.
Nowhere near. But I don't think that MVS was anywhere near the type of player that Romeo Doubs has shown to be. Is that, you know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
I would expect that to be doubled at this point, and with the inflation,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. All right, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we appreciate you making us a part of your day. I don't say that enough, guys. Thank you all for supporting what we do here in podcast form. It's one of the lifebloods of what we do here at PTA. I know the YouTube channel is blowing up, but we really, really, really depend on those that are listening in podcast form. You can find this podcast along with a much better podcast in Ryan Schlip's Packernet podcast if you scan the QR code in the upper right, or just search Packernet podcast. But that's going to do it for hour one. We'll see you on the other side for hour two. We're going to talk Jordan Love and some team rankings. We'll see you over there.